Two oceans, two mysteries. Air France 447 and Malaysia Airlines MH370. It's been more than a decade since two passenger jets vanished into the sea. Air France Flight 47 and Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 UC. Tragedies that still echo through aviation history. Both stories remind us how powerful nature is and how even the best technology sometimes meets its limits. The night Air France 447 vanished. On June 1, 2009, Air France Flight 447 took off from Rio de Janeiro, bound for Paris. It was a quiet night across the Atlantic, until the plane hit a line of towering thunderstorms near the equator. In that violent weather, tiny sensors on the outside of the jet, called pitot tubes, froze solid. That caused the autopilot to disconnect, and the pilots suddenly faced conflicting speed readings. Within minutes, the airplane stalled and fell from the sky into the deep Atlantic Ocean, killing all 228 people on board. For 2 years, no one knew exactly where it was. The ocean there is over 13,000 feet deep, and the wreckage lay hidden until 2011, when robotic subs finally found the debris and the black boxes. Those recorders revealed exactly what happened: a tragic mix of instrument failure, confusion, and loss of control. The findings changed aviation safety worldwide. pitot tubes were redesigned, and pilots were retrained to recognize and recover from stalls more effectively. The vanishing of Malaysia Airlines MH370. 5 years later, in March 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370D left Kuala Lumpur on a routine overnight flight to Beijing. Less than an hour in, all contact was lost. Radar showed the plane turning back across Malaysia, then heading south into the vast Indian Ocean. And then, nothing. Search teams launched the largest and most expensive recovery effort in aviation history. Hundreds of thousands of square miles of ocean were scanned, but the sea there is unimaginably remote, dark, cold, and up to 20,000 feet deep. Over the years, small pieces of debris washed up on beaches around the Indian Ocean, a wing flaperon, fragments of cabin panels, confirming the aircraft's fate. But the main wreck and the black boxes were never found. In 2025, Malaysia once again approved a new search, partnering with Ocean Infinity, a deep-sea exploration company working on a no-find, no-fee basis. Their advanced underwater drones began scanning a 15,000 square kilometer area, but the work was later paused due to harsh weather. The mission is expected to resume soon, and families still hold on to hope. Comparing the two disasters. Let's look at how these two events differ, and why one was solved, while the other still remains a mystery. Air France 447 disappeared in 2009. It was an Airbus A330 flying from Rio to Paris. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 vanished 5 years later, in 2014, flying a Boeing 777 from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The Air France jet went down in the equatorial Atlantic Ocean, while MH370 is believed to have crashed far to the south, deep in the Indian Ocean. The difference in search conditions was huge. The Atlantic wreck rested about 13,000 feet below the surface, while parts of the Indian Ocean reached depths of nearly 20,000 feet. The search for Air France 447 covered around 17,000 square kilometers and, after 2 years, investigators found both the wreckage and the black boxes. For MH370, the search zone was over 7 times larger, more than 120,000 square kilometers, and despite years of effort, only scattered debris has ever been recovered. In the Air France case, investigators determined the cause: a combination of sensor icing, pilot confusion, and an aerodynamic stall. For MH370, no definitive cause has been proven. Families of the Air France victims eventually found closure through the final report. For those who lost loved ones on MH370C, the wait continues. Why Air France was found, and MH370 wasn't. There were 4 main reasons. First, Air France 447 had a much clearer last known position. Its systems were still transmitting maintenance signals just minutes before the crash, giving searchers a smaller, more defined zone to scan. MH370, on the other hand, lost all communication early. The only clues came from faint satellite handshakes, which could only narrow the location to a huge arc across the Indian Ocean. Second, the search environment. The mid-Atlantic is deep, yes, but not nearly as deep, stormy, or unmapped as the southern Indian Ocean. That terrain makes searching far more difficult. Third, the data. Air France's recorders were found and read, giving investigators a clear understanding of what went wrong. MH370's data recorders remain lost, which means no verified explanation exists. And finally, luck. Even in the Air France case, the search vessel happened to pass directly over the wreck by chance. Finding MH370 will likely require that same mix of technology, persistence, and a bit of luck. What these tragedies taught the world. Both disasters changed aviation forever. After Air France 447, airlines and pilots learned new procedures for high-altitude stalls and improved their training for unreliable instruments. After MH370, new international rules were created for real-time aircraft tracking, so that no jet can simply vanish again. Both accidents also pushed technology forward. Deep-sea mapping, NIS, satellite communication, and underwater robotics, all improved because of these searches. Final reflection. Air France 447 was a tragedy that could be solved. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is a tragedy that still waits to be solved. Both reveal how fragile our command of the skies can be and how vast and silent the oceans remain. Air France 447 was hard, but manageable. MH370 remains one of humanity's deepest mysteries.